Productivity systems are designed to fail neurodivergent brains. Not because you're broken, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because they're built on assumptions that don't apply to how your brain actually works. And here's what's wild. Once you understand that, everything changes. Let me say something a little controversial. If productivity systems actually worked for neurodivergent brains, you wouldn't feel more overwhelmed every time you tried to use one. You wouldn't open your to-do list and feel your chest tighten. You wouldn't dread time blocking. You wouldn't freeze when someone asks, "So, what are you working on right now?" And here's the thing, you'd know it by now. Because if a system worked, you'd use it. You wouldn't have to convince yourself. You wouldn't have to restart it every Monday. You wouldn't have that moment where you realize you haven't opened the app in 3 weeks and you feel that familiar shame creeping in. That shame is the real problem. Here's the hot take. Most productivity systems don't fail because you're inconsistent. They fail because they're built around constant urgency, visibility, and performance. And neurodivergent brains don't focus better under pressure. They shut down. That's why async work feels calm in a way productivity systems never do. Not because it's easier, not because you're doing less, but because it finally stops your nervous system from being on edge all day. And once that pressure is gone, your brain actually works. For a long time, I thought this meant something was wrong with me. I tried every system people swear by: daily planners, weekly resets, time blocking, Pomodoro timers, color-coded task lists that looked great for about 3 hours and then quietly collapsed. I even tried the ones that promised to be ADHD-friendly. You know the ones. They have cute icons and pastel colors, and they're supposed to make you feel less broken. They didn't. And every time one of them stopped working, I told myself the same story. I must not be disciplined enough. I must not want it badly enough. I must just need to try harder. I'd watch other people use these systems flawlessly and think, what's wrong with me that this doesn't stick? But here's what no productivity advice ever explains. Most productivity systems are not neutral. They come with assumptions baked into them. They assume your energy is predictable. They assume your focus is linear. They assume you can switch tasks on command. They assume being observed improves performance. They assume urgency equals motivation. And for neurotypical brains, some of that might hold. For neurodivergent brains, it often does the opposite. Because our brains don't struggle with motivation, they struggle with load. Cognitive load, sensory load, social load, decision load. And productivity systems quietly add more of it. When you time block your day, you're not just planning tasks. You're committing future you to behave in a very specific way. You're telling your brain at 10 o'clock you must focus. At 10:45 you must stop. At 11 o'clock you must switch contexts. That might sound organized, but for an ND nervous system, it feels like surveillance. You're constantly checking the clock, constantly measuring yourself, constantly aware of whether you're behind. Your brain isn't working, it's performing, and performing is exhausting. That's why so many ND people feel productive for a short burst and then completely burn out, because the system doesn't flex when your brain doesn't. It doesn't account for the days when your executive function is just offline. It doesn't account for sensory overwhelm. It doesn't account for the fact that sometimes your brain needs to do something completely different before it can focus on what you planned. The system sees that as failure. Your brain sees it as survival. Async work feels different because it removes that layer of performance. Async work says, here's the outcome. Here's the timeline. Figure out the rest in a way that works for you. There's no one watching you type. No one waiting for an immediate response. No pressure to prove you're busy. You're judged by what you produce, not how you look while producing it. That distinction matters more than people realize. When you're not being watched, your brain can finally drop the mask. You stop monitoring your posture, your speed, your expression. You stop rehearsing explanations for why something took longer. You stop bracing for interruption. And suddenly, your thoughts have room to line up. This is why so many neurodivergent people say they work best late at night, or early in the morning, or in strange bursts that don't match a 9 to 5 schedule. It's not the time of day, it's the absence of demand. Async work removes the feeling of being on. And when that happens, something interesting occurs. Your brain stops scanning for threat and starts scanning for patterns. Ideas connect more easily. Focus lasts longer. You make decisions faster because you're not second-guessing how they'll be perceived. You're not performing. You're just thinking. This is also why productivity systems often collapse the moment someone else gets involved. The second you have to check in, report progress, or share your plan, the calm disappears. Because now you're not just working, you're being evaluated. And evaluation changes how ND brains function. We don't think worse because we're incapable. We think worse because our nervous system shifts into self-protection. It's like the difference between thinking out loud with a friend versus being interrogated. Same words, different nervous system state. Async work keeps you out of that state. It creates a buffer between thinking and being seen. That buffer is everything. This is also why so many ND people feel calmer working with AI than with humans. Not because AI replaces connection, not because it's superior, but because it removes social pressure from the thinking process. You can think out loud, change your mind, ask the same question 5 times. Dump messy ideas without organizing them first. There's no expectation to be concise, no tone to manage, no fear of being misunderstood in the moment. AI doesn't rush you. It doesn't interrupt. It doesn't ask why you didn't respond sooner. It's asynchronous by nature. And that's incredibly regulating. Here's where it gets interesting though. When people talk about productivity, they usually focus on output. But for neurodivergent brains, regulation comes first. If your nervous system isn't settled, no system will stick. You can have the perfect planner, the perfect schedule, the perfect accountability partner. But if your nervous system is in threat mode, none of it matters. Your brain will find a way to avoid it. Async work settles the nervous system by removing 3 things at once: urgency, visibility, constant context switching. Instead of doing 10 things badly in public, you do one thing deeply in private. And depth is where ND brains shine. This is why async environments often unlock hyperfocus without force. You're not chasing it. You're not scheduling it. You're simply not interrupting it. And that changes everything. The irony is that async work often produces better results, not slower ones. Because when ND brains aren't overwhelmed, they move quickly. They see connections others miss. They solve problems holistically instead of reactively. But none of that happens under pressure. Pressure collapses the system. This is where most productivity advice goes wrong. It treats stress as a motivator. For ND people, stress is a blocker. You don't need more pressure. You need fewer simultaneous demands. Async work understands that without trying to fix you. It doesn't ask you to optimize yourself. It adapts the environment instead. And that's the shift we're seeing more of. Work is slowly moving away from constant meetings, constant check-ins, constant visibility. Not because people are lazy, but because deep work requires protection. Neurodivergent brains just happen to need that protection more urgently. But here's the weird part. When we removed the pressure, neurotypical people got more productive too. They started shipping work faster. They had better ideas. They burned out less. Turns out, the system wasn't just failing neurodivergent brains. It was failing everyone. We were all just told to push through it. Neurodivergent people couldn't push through it. So we got labeled as broken. But we weren't broken. We were just the first ones to hit the wall. And now that wall is becoming impossible to ignore. So if productivity systems have never worked for you, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not bad at managing time. You're sensitive to overload. And that sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's information. Async work listens to that information instead of fighting it. It gives your brain room to breathe, room to think, room to work in the way it naturally wants to. And when work stops feeling like a performance, it can finally become something sustainable. Because for so many of us, it was never about needing more discipline. It was about needing space to think without being watched. It was about needing a system that adapted to us instead of asking us to break ourselves to fit it. Async work does that. And AI is making it even more possible. Because AI doesn't judge your process. It doesn't care how long you take. It doesn't need you to be on all the time. It's the first tool that actually works with neurodivergent brains instead of against them. And once you experience what work feels like without the constant pressure, it's hard to go back. If your brain doesn't fit the system, subscribe. I'll show you how AI can adapt to you. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one.